Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Well, hello, Archibamies.
Well, hello, Stevie Mans.
Hello, dear friend.
If we aren't, yes, dear friend. Well, we're back. They said it couldn't be done. They said it shouldn't be done. But once again, I from a hotel in an undisclosed location, and you from your command center in New York, are joining forces to make another episode of this podcast, which is called Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Yes, and we are your hosts. Did we do that already?
Well, you said we said each other's full names
It's
as
later.
we sometimes do.
It's later in the day than we usually do this, and I'm
It's so
rather
much
tired.
later. Yes. Well, nonetheless, here we are. It's Monday, but we're discussing Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 3, entitled Mining the Mind's Minds.
That's a tongue twister if ever I heard one.
Yes. Slow down and say mining the minds, minds. And the start date for our episode is stardate
3321912.9.
It was a great episode. Had many wonderful references to many wonderful things.
Indeed.
It was a bit of a mind bender. Had some a little bit of character development for maybe Cerritos as a whole, as opposed to the characters individually. Although Tendi, anyway, so we'll get to that. But first, we got to get a little Patreon business out of the way.
Yes, we have a Patreon. We have a Patreon. Join our Patreon. Join our Patreon. No, we do have a Patreon. Please join our Patreon. We would love to have you there with us. We have watch parties. We have cooking with Archie. We have how to tie a bow tie with Archie. We have lots of things. You can also watch us live streaming on video. You can see Archie dancing as he is right now. And lots more fun things. And that's all the very easy to find place at patreon.com/setphasers.
Speaking of, I may have scored a hotel room for one of these days that has a kitchen in it.
Oh.
I don't know if we can try to get to do we'll discuss this at some other point, but it would be nice to do a cooking with Aki from the road thing for one of these.
Indeed. Dear listener, Aki is on the road. He's on the road with his band touring. And
yes.
I saw him the other night. I saw him perform a sold-out show at Radio City Music Hall.
There was never a seat left in the audience.
No, there was not. And I was delighted to be there. Delighted. And you were wonderful. You were so... genuinely, you were so good. So good.
I'm smiling from cheek to cheek, which, honestly, it's impossible not to smile from cheek to cheek because that's how your cheeks work. But I am, nonetheless, smiling from cheek to cheek. Oh, dear. Let's run it down. So much to do in this episode. It's time to run it down.
Can you run it down for me? Tell me what just happened. Can you run it?
Yeah, you know the deal. It's a planet. It's an outpost, and there are scientists there, and some scientists are checking out some glowing orb. And as he touches it, it reveals his junior high school teacher in a revealing toga, being very sort of come hither and amorous, and asking him about the novel he's writing, where the lead character is him, but he's like a fast car driving bad boy or something. Anyway, he is seduced by this clear this impression, this hologram of some sort of deep-seated love interest in his mind. He goes to touch it and screams as he is turned into stone. And on a cliff above him. As we pull out, we see a man, possibly also made of stone, I don't know, holding a staff with lambent eyes, overlooking happily at this. And so we find out that there was a scientific outpost on the planet of Genghis 4. And yes, there was an issue with the scrubble people, who are made of stone, I guess, inorganic, and they have these glowing things that make you see your deepest fantasies, and when you touch them, you turn to stone. And so a peace treaty is brokered between the scientists of the outpost and the scrubble people on Genghis 4 by Captain Murakami of the USS Hood. They take off because they brokered peace, because that's what the big Galaxy class ships do, and the California class ships of the Cerritos and the Carlsbad are left to coordinate the relocation of the outpost and the putting away of these mines, and hence we get the tongue twister for the episode. Ransom was putting Mariner under the command of an officer named Stevens to help clear out these mines. And Stevens is sort of like a devotee of Ransom, wants to be Ransom's best friend, and even Ransom is not into how much Stevens seems to underscore how best friends they are. Tendi, meanwhile, while the rest of the lower decks crew is going to go down to the planet and handle that, Tendi is going to be starting her senior science officer training, and is very excited, but finds out that her mentor is none other than the pleasantly narcissistic Dr. Miglimo. So Boimler, Mariner, and Rutherford beam down to the planet with Stevens. The Carlsbad crew is there. They're taking apart the outpost station, and the Cerritos crew is supposed to take care of the mines, and just be careful and don't touch anything that springs to mind, and just collect them all in a tin and take them away. But there's a little bit of a standoff between the Carlsbad crew and the Cerritos crew, because the Carlsbad crew says that the Cerritos crew is known throughout the fleet for screwing around and not taking things seriously, and they don't want to be any part of that. And the lower decks crew wonders if the Cerritos is starting to get a reputation for being a joke. Meanwhile, up on the ship, Dr. Miglimo is completely he's a terrible mentor. He doesn't know anything about training a senior science officer. He has a manual that he has skimmed, that he received from Starfleet, and he gives Tendi her first assignment, which is to go help the captain, who is doing the diplomatic sort of settling of the peace treaty between the scrubble people and the scientists at the outpost. And he wants Tendi to confront the captain and make sure she stands up for herself. Meanwhile, down on the planet, Cerritos crew is trying to clean up the mines. We get to see what their deep-seated fantasies are. Rutherford dreams of Leah Brahms. I'm sure that will come up in our Easter egg segment. And Mariner sees Jennifer, the Andorian from season 2 or season 1.
Well, she's appeared in both, actually.
Actually, in both. Yes, voiced by one of my favorite, I believe that's Lauren Lapkus doing the voice of Jennifer. Anyway, they apparently have been making some time together, but it's casual. But that's what Mariner sees. Their fantasy is a very cool, unattached, but willing to hang out Jennifer, the Andorian, who's happy to just be Mariner's, quote, hot Andorian girlfriend. And, of course, Boimler sees a fleet admiral riding up in some sort of motorcycle with a sidecar that needs Boimler to help him with some sort of life-altering, galaxy-altering situation. But so they're doing all that, but Mariner is unhappy about how the Carlsbad crew is thinking of the Cerritos crew, and she wants them to sort of pick up the pace and show up the Carlsbad folks. Meanwhile, Captain Freeman, and the captain of the Carlsbad, a young hotshot captain by the name of Captain Mayer, are trying to conduct these peace talks. And Ransom says, hey, Captain Mayer's on the fast track to Galaxy class. And Mayer is excited to see how the, quote, old school captains do it, he says to Captain Freeman, who is nonplussed by being referred to as old. The scrubble people and the scientists come in arguing with each other. They are given a token of respect from the scrubble people, a totem, like a rock, a shaped pyramid. And Freeman tries to give it to Mayer, and Mayer tries to give it back to Freeman, and they fight over it. And that is basically how that whole meeting goes. Meanwhile, the lower deck crew is down, and they're gaining on the Carlsbadders. And Stevens is at first upset that he finds the lower decks crews kind of being hasty, and they're like dunking the crystals and ignoring the fantasies. And Mariner says, oh, well, the batters said that Ransom is a bad commander and that we're going to be super slow. And so Stevens is like, that could never happen. So he goes ham in defense of Ransom and tries to slam dunk some of these mines into the thing. He knocks a whole container over. They crack open. A bunch of green stuff goes into the air. And instead of showing fantasies, they start showing weird nightmares. And one of the nightmares, a cuckoo clan.
I can't say it. Don't ask me.
Cuckoo clan. I think it's from Teal. I think it's from maybe the animated series.
It is the animated series.
It is the animated series. I was like, I don't. Anyway, he gets picked up by one. He gets turned into stone. He gets dropped, and both of his arms break off. Boimler says the broken rocks are sending nightmares now, and so they have to run away. Both crews, and they run into like a cave for protection. But not before Jennifer turns into a giant Andorran werewolf that wants Mariner to settle down and commit, which is, I guess, Mariner's greatest fear. And the comms are blocked in the cave that they're in, so they're gonna have to wait it out. They create a cave in so that the mouth is blocked. And while they're trapped in there, they learn that actually the Carlsbad crew doesn't hate the Cerritos' crew. They were all putting on airs because everyone thinks the Cerritos crew is super cool because they're so off the cuff and hip and everything, and they wanted to impress Cerritos. And so they start to bond there in the cave as they're surrounded by crazy nightmares, including Klingons with bat-left arms. Another tongue twister, by the way. Klingon clowns with bat-left arms. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Klingon clowns with bat-left arms. Yeah, you're right. It's like kill Romulan War. We were the nuns.
It's a Kimmy Romulan. Yes, exactly. You know what we're saying. Anyway, the fighting is still going on. Tendi is demoralized. Leaves the terrible diplomatic session and goes to the med bay to talk to the doctor, who tells her, like, hey, sometimes you got to make a mess to make things right. Get back in there, kid. Meanwhile, the Cerritos and Carlsbad crew find that there's something emanating from deeper in the cave, and as they explore, they find a door, and in the door there are even more of these weird mines, and they're all hooked up to things, and apparently they're collecting not only dream fantasies and nightmares, but also every errant thought, authorization codes, and people's random memories, but all the technology in this cave. Even though the weird crystals are Scrubble related, the technology in the cave is Federation, and they realize, dun dun dun, that it's a conspiracy. The scientists and the Scrubbles hit them. Perfect. And so they have to run, but they make improvised weapons and they run back out and fight the nightmares. Meanwhile, as diplomacy is falling out over the rock, Tendi returns. The lower deckers show up from both ships. Tendi breaks the rock, and she shows them she had gotten readings from them, and inside of it is a spying device. So whichever captain had taken it, didn't matter. Whichever captain had taken it would have been over the little piece was bugged, so they would have gotten inside information. And that's when this conspiracy between the Scrubble people and the Scrubble people, another tongue twister, and the scientists is revealed. And they're arrested and sent to a Federation tribunal. And in the end, there's a celebration for the collected crews. Stevens is still alive. He's got both of his arms in braces. Tendi and Dr. Miglimo are chatting. And Miglemo's like, I'm such a great mentor. And Tendi's like, yeah, sure. And Meyer apologizes to Freeman. I can keep calling Captain Freeman Captain Freedom, which, man, I mean, that sounds like a superhero. For calling her old a bunch of times, and she gives him half a rock, and everyone is getting along together, including both crews of the lower decks. And there endeth the rundown of episode 3 of season 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks, entitled Mining the Mind's Mines.
Let's chat about that.
I say, darling, let's do a quick chat about that. Yes, let's do.
Oh, I don't know. This thing is full of stuff.
So full of things. It was an Easter egg of Easter eggs, for one thing.
Yes. It was an Easter egg of Easter eggs, from the premise to the execution of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Delightfully fun. So many B plots, A plots, C plots, D plots.
Yeah, obviously I always enjoy getting to see, like, we know that Mariner and Boimler are sort of our main characters, but it's nice to see Tendi sort of getting onto the senior. So they're all sort of like angling for senior positions now. It's nice to see how they're moving up through Starfleet in various ways. And
my favorite part of it was
Mhm.
Mariner has a girlfriend.
Yeah, Mariner has a girlfriend that Mariner is kind of weird about.
Yeah.
Which is like the first thing that, Mariner is like so chill and cool about everything, but he's like, oh, we're just hanging out. We're not whatever. And then Mariner's her nightmare is that her girlfriend is like, I want to settle down and stay together forever. And even Boimler says, I think you should go back to therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a pretty intense and specific nightmare to have.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense for Mariner, though. I think they did a very good job of like sort of exploring Mariner's character there. And I do think it makes sense that Mariner and Jennifer would be an item. They antagonize each other in such a way that it made sense. Anyway, I hope we get to see more of that.
I wonder if they would have revealed that had it not been an episode about our nightmares and things. I wonder if that would have come up, or if it was just this makes sense, let's do it.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if because it's such a good Star Trek trope, the idea of like the thing that creates your fantasy that's trying to kill you or whatever, it really works. But it's also great because then you get to have this episode where you see everyone's innermost things, and we sort of are not surprised by Boimler's, and Rutherford's is kind of like a fun joke that makes sense. If you wink wink, you get the joke. But Mariner is, I think, a character that we don't normally know the ulterior motives of. She's kind of, what's the word, chimeric, mercurial, I don't know what I'm trying to say. She's like puts forward we don't really know her motivations. Like, why is she chaotic? Why is she follow direct? She's always like, only in the most extreme circumstances does she like show herself to be like real Starfleet material. Otherwise she like puts on this insouciant, wow, why am I using these words?
I don't know. I don't actually know.
I'm really tired, and I think that's when I'm tired, I start using bad vocabulary. Anyway, she puts on this like too cool for school act, and so it was cool that she was exposed and we got to see what her emotions are. So it was like that was a cool device of this episode, is that we get to see what something behind Mariner's facade.
Yeah, that was my favorite
and
thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was kind of the coolest little thing of the episode, like character wise. Also, Dr. Miglamo is such a wonderful maniac, useless character played by Paul F. Tompkins, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And is just a terrible mentor. And I forget the actual doctor's name. Oh no.
Which doctor?
The ship's doctor. The one who like actually mentors Tendi.
The cat.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
I had it
the T.
4 seconds. Yeah, Dr. Not Tiana. Tiana. Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, yeah, totally. Oh, I don't know why I thought it wasn't.
Ta'ana?
Yeah. Dr. Ta'ana.
Dr. Ta'ana.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like who Tendi really wants to be her mentor. I think that was kind of a cool throw that they showed that. Anyway, lots of cool stuff, but I think it's hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to what the hell is the show? Set Phasers. The Set Phasers News Hour. We go immediately to Stevie at the Easter egg desk. Stevie, how you doing today?
Hello there, Aki. Hello there. It's so great to be here. So professional, as always. What a treat. What a treat.
You know me. I remember the name of the show, everything.
Well, so we first off have shape-shifting brain parasites. The first iteration, of course, was episode 5 in the original series in 1966, The Man Trap. And then in TNG, Where No Man Has Gone Before. And I think that one was
Indeed.
Where Worf saw some things. Picard had tea with his mother in the middle of the hallway. Some weird things going on. Then the USS Hood
Hood.
appeared. And so this was the first ship that Riker was assigned early on in his career. Geordie LaForge also mentioned that he had served on it, and the Hood would appear multiple times through TNG, probably because the Hood was always a fun one to put next to the Enterprise in terms of the model shape of it.
Oh.
And fun fact, Hood, the USS Hood, was named after a real-life World War
Killer Robert Lord.
World War I naval officer, Rear Admiral Sir Horace Lambert Alexander Hood.
Good Lord.
I know. What a christening that must have been.
Indeed.
Indeed. Obviously, we had our favourite Dr. Leah Brahms.
Yes!
First seen in Booby Trap in TNG, whom we know that Geordie had a crush on. And so does Rutherford, apparently. And why wouldn't he? She's
Yes.
She's a delightful person. Do you remember Season 7, Episodes 25 and 26, All Good Things, where a future timeline revealed Geordie and Leah ended up together?
Yes.
With children.
So weird. What a tiny bit of like a little side story, the weird Geordie love thing where he falls in love with the hologram of the person he makes to help him solve a problem. And then the lady is actually super offended when she shows up on the ship in real life in like a later season.
Yep.
And then for some reason in All Good Things, they're like, actually they end up together. I just, it's so strange.
It's
And do you
clearly
think that's gonna
someone's
be part of
fantasy.
what happens in Picard? Or
No,
was that like a timeline that is not going to come to pass?
Oh, I don't think so. Not in Picard. I don't know. We'll see. I think Geordie did pen a letter to Picard asking for help. So who knows? Maybe Dr. Leah Brahms has turned back into a hologram and he needs rescued. We shall see. We shall see. The Kukal Khan, I'm going with that,
I
was
think that's right.
a creature that first appeared in the animated series, How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth, where the Enterprise finds itself in a Mayan city and awakens a Mayan god who's a little bit grumpy, naturally.
Those animated series episodes are the trippiest.
Of course, everyone was on LSD.
Yes, so weird.
Literally how it was written. And then, of course, the silicon-based life forms, and I believe we have seen many of those, the Scrubble, throughout Star Trek canon. Let's see, there was Devil in the Dark in the original series. They discovered a rock monster called a Horta that killed people to protect its eggs.
Right.
Then there was the Savage Curtain, where Kirk and Spock are forced into hand-to-hand combat by an all-powerful lava-like Excalibur. And on Next Gen, let's see, Home Soil sees the discovery of sentient grains of sand. And Silicon Avatar sees the second appearance of a creature simply called the Crystalline Entity.
Oh dear, the one that Lore was in cahoots with?
Yes, indeed. To say nothing of the multiple references throughout Trek to the Tholians, an antagonistic species made of crystal. So they are just the latest in a long line of silicon species, the Scrubble. So that was rather fun. I ran through those rather quickly because we have lots of news. Did you see any other Easter eggs that you wanted to point out?
I did not see any beyond that. I thought I was super clever for the one that I did know, and I missed a billion. Yeah.
No. You got quite a few there. There were a lot, to be fair.
I was like, man, nothing gets past me.
You're not looking for it,
no,
though.
that's it.
That's my job.
That's true. You're right. You're right, of course. I guess we should move on.
Let's move on to the news. Oh, we love a bit of news. Well, Star Trek, we do. There's so much news to get through because Star Trek Day on September 8th happened the other day. That was a bad intro. Star Trek Day was on September 8th. That was terrible.
It happened the other day.
Yes, it did.
It sure did. It was factual.
Paul F. Tompkins and Tony Newsom on hosting duties with a small contingent of fans live in the room with a live DJ who was a bit odd, and quite frankly you could have done a better job. And that's to say that sounds sounds offensive. What I mean by that is you would have rocked it. This guy was a bit weird. But my question was, why wasn't Will Wheaton hosting? like he did last year?
I don't know.
I don't know. Don't get
Do
me
you
wrong.
think maybe he's shooting something
I don't know.
on site somewhere?
Maybe.
Anyway,
Tony
that's
though
my
did a
theory.
great job, but Paul, I don't know. Paul F. Tompkins, it just fell a bit flat for me. They had some technical difficulties and went off script, so it was a bit weird and awkward for parts of it. However, let's go to the news. Star Trek Discovery showed its first new look of Michael Burnham on what looks to be some sort of Mad Max motorcycle in season 5. The Disco cast were unable to make it because they are on set in Toronto filming season 5. We got a little look behind the scenes. Trying to think, I don't think they really revealed anything at all. They were
No,
that was just like, oh, this is behind the scenes, and
they're like, here's the ship.
pretty much
Can't tell you anything.
they didn't
Yeah.
even show you on the set. It was just let's go and see some of the crew
I
hanging
get the
out.
feeling they're trying to keep it real tight, whatever's happening over
I
there.
guess it was a bit
Will
flat.
Wheaton?
No, I don't think so. However, did you hear about Will Wheaton? Well,
No,
here we
what
go.
about Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton is to star in Star Trek Ascension, an online game, as he plays Mira Wesley Crusher, the new Terran Emperor.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wild.
I thought you'd love that because
That's
it's not
nice.
fucking Lorca.
I love that. I did not know that. I mean, I wish it was Lorca, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm. If you are not familiar, this is the free-to-play MMORPG. What the fuck does that stand for? Do you know? You must know.
Multimedia
Online
yes,
role-play
MMO,
game.
Online role-playing game. Yes.
Oh, look at us. We're getting it. That could have been a trivia question and we could have won that one. So the game that launches on September 13th starts on PC and will also come to consoles at a later date. And fun fact, also stars Captain Killy and Admiral Lita. Haha, from DS9.
Yes.
Star Trek.
Excellent.
There wasn't a lot of news, which was slightly disappointing, but there were bits and pieces here and there. Star Trek Prodigy returns from its mid-season break on October 7th. Kate Mulgrew was present for a quick interview and was a delight and shows how much she just
that's nice. I missed
adores the
that.
franchise. She's very sweet. You can watch it
Yeah.
on Paramount Plus.
Oh, I will. Rest assured.
I know you will. It's 109 minutes. There was a beautiful Nichelle Nichols tribute, and I loved it and I got very emotional. So do make sure that you find that somewhere. Now, the other news. This is possibly the most interesting news. Somewhat. All right, I'll let you. Okay. Star Trek Khan SETI Alpha 5 is coming to a podcast platform near you.
What?
Yes, there's a new Star Trek podcast featuring the 15 years in which Khan was marooned on SETI Alpha 5. Nicholas,
Sorry,
who's
please continue.
we don't know any other details. So Nicholas Meyer, who was the director of, let me get this right, I think it was 2, 4, and 6. He was the writer and director of Star Trek 2, 4, and 6.
The good ones.
Yes, exactly, the good ones. So he apparently scripted this. I think he was talking with Kurtzman at one point, and I think Kurtzman gave him the idea and said, "What do you know? What I'd be really interested to find out what Khan was up to in those 15 years." And Meyer said, "Well, I'd been playing around with that idea, and so he had written a 3-episode script for TV, which." I think they were possibly planning for TV and then they didn't get the budget and they've got it to a podcast.
Wow.
Indeed.
I mean, I think it's cooler as a podcast, honestly.
It could be. Yeah, it certainly could be. And I think they've done a great job with the Picard audio drama that they did. So I'm curious and I think they will do a fantastic job with it. So that's awesome. So let's see. The scripted podcast will examine what happened in the years that Khan was left on the untamed world of SETI Alpha 5 and tells the story of Khan and his followers prior to Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And so we don't know who's starring. We don't know even when it's out, other than it's 2023. So there you go.
Right.
And on the podcast news, Star Trek. The podcast, the pod directive, in fact, is coming back. Oops, what was that called? Because ours is the only Star Trek podcast that exists.
Ours is the only one that counts, and the ones that we like and our friends.
They are coming back for season 3. Also, don't know when. Possibly later this year / next year. So lots of news that wasn't news.
Right. Not a lot of news.
It was a bit disappointing for a Star Trek day.
They don't have release dates yet. They're not sure how long it's going to take to finish stuff.
They couldn't even give us an update on the movie. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing. I honestly, I watched the whole thing. Sorry, the highlight of it for me was Nichelle Nichols and Jackie Cox. Jackie Cox turned
Sure.
up to do like a cosplay thing. There were lots of
Mhm,
fans doing
mhm.
cosplay. But yeah, it just felt a bit lackluster. It was a bit disorganized and chaotic at times. Like the teleprompter went off. Like it was just a bit off. And I get it.
Mhm.
Live things go wrong, but there wasn't a lot of news. There wasn't a lot of excitement that was given to the news that they did actually have. But we love Trek. I can't wait to see what's coming in the new seasons. I love all the content. I can't help it. I do. I just want more
Yeah.
fanfare. Give me more fanfare, Star Trek. Alex
I
Kurtzman,
feel like
WTF.
they are just. I feel like they probably couldn't make announcements on the 8th of September. They just didn't have their ducks in a row. But you know what I mean? It feels like it came down to like, what can we do? And they're like, I don't know. We don't know when we're going to finish shooting season 5 of this. We got some Michael on a motorcycle. That's about it. You know, can we talk about Picard? Not really. Can we talk about the movie? Not really. Like all those things are like so in development that I think they were like, we got a video game and, you know,
We had
we'll see.
Any of the cast interviews that were on stage were like 4 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
So you didn't really get a chance to go into anything. You got a clip of Picard. You got a clip of A Strange New Worlds.
Right.
You got a little. I don't even think you got a clip of Discovery. Actually, come to think of it, little clip
Yeah,
of
I think
Prodigy. There was just it was just clips of things and very short interviews, and it moved too quick. There wasn't enough when it was there. There was a really awkward interview with Tendi and Tawny Newsome. I forget what Tendi's name.
Yeah.
Tendi's actor name is, and it was just awkward. I don't know what happened. It just was awkward. So, all that to say, good Star Trek coming down the pike. But you know, if you do miss Star Trek Day as a watch, you're not missing much. I do hope that next year is better. And I say
hope
that
next year is better. I mean,
as a diehard fan, chest
as a
thumping
diehard
diehard fan.
Noel Wells.
Noel, thank
I
you,
always
Noel
remember it
Wells.
rhymes, but I can never remember how it rhymes. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, First Contact Day is a little too late. They're going to do a big First Contact Day thing, but it's like, you know, we're all waiting on stuff. I get it. It's probably going to be a bunch of weird. The thing about they couldn't even tell us when the podcast is coming back, which is the clue to me that the podcast comes back when when they're like big prestige shows comes back. You know what I mean? Like when Discovery's back, they're going to put the podcast back on. So, you know, that's my feeling that they don't know what their rollout schedule is going to be yet.
Yeah. I think Picard is February. I think it's February 16th, 2023. Then after that, I don't know. They don't have Discoveries yet, I don't believe. So, anyway. All right.
Yeah,
well,
this would be the month, or Discovery usually starts in like October if it's going to be in the autumn. That's usually when they do it.
But if they're still filming it, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Very unlikely
never.
that they would have it. Yeah.
Not a chance.
They got to do all the
It's
post.
next year.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's all from the lackluster news.
Oh, well, then let's head over to quotable moments. Oh, what? Oh, let's head over to quotable moments.
Quotable moments. Gotta let the news outro, Aki.
I'm so sorry. I forgot about the outro. The way you said it, it was like, well, all right, and that's it. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, nobody needs to hear this. All right, some quotable moments. I have 3 written down here. We were trying to keep it svelte because we have so much news to talk about. So first I'll say my favorite that I wish was on a t-shirt or a mug was Tendi saying, wish me luck. No, wish me facts. I like that one. Mariner says, of course, it's not a real day in Starfleet till comms get blocked when they're stuck in the cave. And then perhaps my favorite goes to Dr. Miglamo when he's going through the like thing sent to him about how to be a mentor, and it says Vulcan stuff. I'll tell you what, it would have been logical to find an editor.
Yes, I did like that.
That was very, very funny.
Those
are all, yes, indeed. That's all I've got for quotable moments.
Oh, shall we move on?
Yeah, to next time.
Next time on Set Phasers.
All right. Well, next time on Star Trek. Oh my God. I apologize. Next time on Set Phasers, we'll be talking about season 3, episode 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks, entitled, according to my Google search, Room for Growth. Who knows what that means? Probably something
Shoes.
ridiculous.
I feel like we're growing out of shoes.
Shoes.
Into new shoes.
You don't think maybe there's like some entity that's gonna like keep growing through the ship until it like maybe could blow up? Or
Yeah,
something
all right.
like
That's
that.
a literal
Weird
thing.
blob.
It's
I
very
don't know.
likely.
But then also maybe there'll be some other thing like people are growing. Maybe it'll be something with Mariner and Jennifer. I don't know. So yes, we'll be talking about that. Until then, if you've enjoyed the episode, do find back episodes of our podcasts. You can find them wherever you find podcasts. I won't name the apps, but they're there. And we've covered every episode of the new Star Trek franchises from Discovery right on down to Lower Decks. So do check that out.
Indeed, and you can find us on socials. We are at Set Phasers and at Set Phasers Podcast on the Instagram and Facebook, respectively.
Yes, we also have a Patreon, as mentioned earlier, patreon.com/setphases. Do go there and join us so that you can be part of all things Trek in our continuing mission to discover all the things that Trek does for Trek stuff.
Well, until next time, I am Stevie Mans.
And we're the best of friends and we share a sacred bond. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Computer. End program. Why did we do that?
I don't know. That's a thing that I'm just as sleepy brain.